So bringing your awareness up to your abdomen, noticing if you feel any tightness or any strain there, releasing that with the out breath, softening the belly. Our emotions can tend to store themselves in the belly, releasing. Taking awareness up to your chest, feeling the breath in your chest. Releasing anything you might be holding there with the out breath. Bringing your awareness to your arms and hands. Noticing if any sensations are present. Taking your awareness to your back, lower back, middle back, upper back. Releasing any weight you might be carrying on your back with the out breath. Moving awareness up to the shoulders and the neck. If you feel any tightness, if you feel any constriction, loosening, dropping the shoulders, releasing any stress from the shoulders, from the neck. Bringing awareness up to your face, softening the jaw, softening the eyebrows, softening the face, and becoming aware of the whole of your body. Just checking in. And then slowly coming back to the place you are in, bringing your awareness to what's around you, where you are. And then slowly you can open your eyes. Uh, it's seen in research. It's seen also sometimes when we talk to other women that women are more likely to delay decision making, more likely to be influenced by others' reactions than by our own values. And it's something that is learned through social conditioning, through our experiences. And because it's learned, we can also unlearn it and change it. So, since we're talking about decision making, we've experienced this either ourselves or with people close to us that say an opportunity arrives or there's a relationship which reaches a crossroad. A decision is sitting right in front of us. And instead of thinking, what do I want to do? Or what do I want through this, in this, of this? The brain can immediately start calculating or analyzing, thinking about, overthinking. What will people think? What if I disappoint people? What if I get it wrong? And because the mind goes into those tangents, before we know it, we could have decided bases the answers to those questions instead of our own values. And later, once we sit with the results of what we've chosen or what we've decided on, something can feel a little off. Because in a way, the decision was mine, was ours, but it didn't quite feel like ours. So through this module, these days that we go through decision making and how do we choose wisely, um, we will try and close this gap. Now, decision making uses um, certain parts of the brain. We've seen that the prefrontal cortex specifically comes into play when we want to make considered decisions. Mm. But it's also true that um, when faced with a decision, the questions that appear first are about other people, and it has a lot to do with what will people say, what will people think of me, what will happen if people don't like my choice. We're almost outsourcing the effects of this decision of what we are trying to do to others. So we are no longer focused on the self. We are in a way disconnected with what we want, with what we are seeking, whether it aligns with us or not, and we outsource the effects of it to others. And this is what, an approval filter is. So we are trying to, to send the decision or to pass the decision through a filter, which is about approval from others. Now, um, also when scientists were studying decision making and how we make decisions, how we think about things, something surprising was found, which was that most of our decisions are not made consciously. They are made by faster, more conditioned, older parts of the brain. And they are often shaped by the question, will I be accepted or rejected if I do this? And this is what is the approval filter. It keeps running in the background, quietly. We're not even aware that we are passing or running this test when we are trying to make decisions. Will I be accepted or rejected if I do this? So then the opposite is also true, that and it's remarkable that when we can clearly connect with our values before making a decision, say writing them down, actually feeling them, then a different or a wiser part of the brain activates. And research also shows that when we make decisions from this part of the brain, they produce significantly higher satisfaction results, even when the outcome is difficult. So, why do we do this? Now, we know that we evolved in tribes and we had to live, to survive. We had to ward off, say, wild animals, and we had to fight like unknown things in our environment. We were not always certain. So, we learned to live in groups, in tribes, because belonging increased our survival. There were higher chances for us to live through an attack, a difficult time, famine, cold weather conditions, when we were together. Rejection carried risk because if we were rejected, we would be alone and the chances of our survival would be lesser. Now, our brains still carry this programming with it, which is why criticism feels physically also hurtful. Rejection hurts. Disapproval feels threatening. So, which is why, when we are choosing, when we are making decisions, we are not solely choosing basis what we want. We are choosing the option that creates the least discomfort for others around us. And therefore, even for us. Now, that said, there is a difference between relief and assignment. So, when we make decisions that are based on approval from others, they do provide us some immediate relief, because in the moment we feel like we've been able to successfully ward off danger, and we are not threatened anymore. We will not be rejected. We will not be disliked. We will not made to exit, this group that we are part of, this family structure, this friend circle that we are part of. So yeah, it does provide immediate relief, but not necessarily peace. Now, vis-a-vis value-based decisions, they can create immediate discomfort. They can create at times a rejection, criticism. There is a risk that we run, but eventually they also create deeper alignment. So, say we decide that we want to establish boundaries with people or with someone in particular, and that can disappoint other people because they're not used to it. We could make a career move that other people don't understand. When we start having honest conversations, or we decide to leave, or we decide to stay. Now, these do create sometimes, negative responses from others. We might have to face um, disapproval. We might have to face challenging conversations. But we also know that eventually those are the decisions, if they are value aligned, that provide us with the most satisfaction. So at this point, maybe just checking in with yourself, that have you ever chosen, say, temporary comfort, and later realized that it created, say, some longer term regret? So has there been a time when you chose somebody else's comfort in the moment over your value alignment, and later felt that it costed you a lot? And if we when we read spiritual texts, we sometimes see, that this hero, or even in heroic movies, that there's this one person, he's standing at a crossroad. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was standing between two armies, and everyone has an opinion. People want them to do certain things, behave a certain way, choose a certain option. Family has opinions, friends have opinions, society, teachers, tradition has an opinion. So, uh, for Arjuna, really, if we think about what his conflict was not really what will people think, but the challenge really faced by him was what is the right action. And that sort of, it takes us to, or it we can reflect on spiritual maturity, because rather than asking what keeps everyone comfortable, what keeps everyone happy, we instead begin to ask what is true, or what is the right thing to do. And that's a very different question from um, feeling, this hesitation to disappoint other people. Now, what decision making based on others' preferences, or um, others' feelings also creates, is which is I think the biggest price we pay when we don't feel like, we are in a position to make our own decisions, is that we lose self trust. And um, I I personally, I see this a lot, with clients, with people. I speak to that beyond after a point of outsourcing your decision making to what others think or what others expect of you, you're no longer able to trust yourself really. So what do we do when we don't trust ourselves? We start seeking too many opinions. We are no longer in touch with our own intuition or um, our own needs even, and we more and more begin prioritizing approval, and we do it repeatedly. So then what happens is, as a result, when the time comes to say taking big decisions, taking small decisions, we we want somebody else to do that for us, and we also start fearing more and more that we are not capable enough to take a decision that will please people. We can even answers to questions like where do you want to go, what do you want to eat for dinner, we don't want to make that decision any longer. We want somebody else to make it, because we feel like we are not either mm, empowered enough, or the fear of disappointment becomes too much. So I think, in my opinion, the biggest risk that we run in in choosing not from our center, or our value or ourselves, is that we weaken self trust, and the more we do that, uh, the weaker self trust becomes. And we can maybe then also remember a time when we really knew the answer, but we talked ourselves out of it. And perhaps thinking about this, that has there been a time, or has there been a situation, a question where you you really knew what, say, you wanted, what the right thing to do was, but you talked yourself out of that. And this time we are not even trying to completely stop seeking approval. That's not where we are today, with what we are talking. But what we can do today and henceforth is that we can notice when it happens, because we cannot change what we are not aware of, what we do not notice. So the only objective of what we are doing today, practicing today, is becoming aware of when we are not listening to what we want. Sometimes it can feel like I'm easygoing, and I don't mind anything. So I don't care where we go for dinner. I don't care what we do for the weekend. I don't care what we cook for dinner, because everything goes. We are so not in touch with ourselves that I don't even know what I want to eat tonight. And all we are doing today is that we are just becoming aware of that there is uh, there is a knowing, and there is an intuition, and um, there is always something that we want. Can we start becoming aware of it? Can we start listening to that voice that we would have suppressed for so long that we can no longer hear it? So um so maybe we'll just do a small practice, and then we will also take away one small exercise that we can work on today, tomorrow, through the weekend, to see if we can become mm, more confident about how we decide or what we need. But before that, coming into the practice, so if you're able, please come into a comfortable position, sitting straight if that's accessible to you. Closing your eyes. And finding your breath. If you're able, deepening the breath. Feeling your breath expanding your body as you breathe in. And your body contracting as you breathe out. Staying with your breath, following your breath from its beginning to its end. And then silently repeating these words in your mind. I deeply trust the wisdom and guidance of my intuition. I deeply trust the wisdom and guidance of my intuition. I deeply trust the wisdom and guidance of my intuition. My inner voice knows what is best for me. My inner voice knows what is best for me. My inner voice knows what is best for me. I honor my feelings and trust the signals my body gives me. I honor my feelings and trust the signals my body gives me. I honor my feelings and trust the signals my body gives me. I trust myself to make the right choices for my life. I trust myself to make the right choices for my life. I trust myself to make the right choices for my life. I have everything I need within me to succeed. I have everything within me I need to succeed. I have everything I need within me to succeed. And with that, sending thanks to your body, your mind, your breath. Connecting back to the body, connecting back to the room you are in. And then slowly opening your eyes. So the homework, yeah, that we can do as part of this learning, this module is that whenever we are faced with a question in which we need to decide something, as small as what do you want to eat. See if we don't say no. And even if we are in a position where we don't want to say the answer, at least telling yourself what you want. So if you still feel like, you don't want to um, share how you feel about something or share what you want, at least within yourself, becoming aware of the answer to that question. So, really listening to yourself and connecting with your needs. That's something that we can practice today and through the weekend, and let's see how that makes us feel. Um, with that, it's the end of day one of this module. But tomorrow we will learn more about the five filters that shape our choices. We did see the approval filter, but we'll reflect more, we'll find out more, we'll practice about how we can not be influenced by these different voices, these different considerations that we go into before we tend to decide for ourselves. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for participating, for practicing together. And we will be back tomorrow as we are every day on Mighty Champions Daily Live. So, yeah, once again, thank you and see you all tomorrow.